Hey guys, my name is Simpzy. How you all doing? Welcome back to some more Empire Total War Darthmod here today on the channel. We're back on our Prussian campaign. This is episode 7. In today's video, we're going to be continuing on upon the Prussian-Russian War, which we started in the last episode. We're hopefully going to have the siege and battle for Moscow here today. So, if you like the sound of that, feel free to leave the video a like. Subscribe if you're new around here with notifications on. Let me know in the comments, feedback and suggestions for the series and where you'd like me to expand and conquer. So, in the last episode, we managed to have the battle for Kiev, which we played. We also managed to take St. Petersburg, Minsk and Estonia. The Russians drew in the Danish as well, so we have to deal with the Danes at Norway. So there are 5,400 Russians here that we've intercepted on the road to Moscow. We have 3.6. Gerhard is going to engage them before they can hit the Ukraine. So let's get stuck into them. A decent army build, a lot of grenadiers. They've even got some Cossack archers, but we have artillery and just quickly looking, yes, cavalry supremacy technically, infantry-wise. But let's get stuck into the Russians here today for the Battle of Moscow. So we're starting to wind down this series, guys. We mustn't have many more episodes left, maybe 1 or 2 potentially. And we're getting to 40 regions. And we still need to actually declare war upon the French. We might even need to betray Sweden, our ally, depending on here we go, because victory conditions wise, we need Copenhagen. We also need Strasbourg as well. So there's a rock here, which it's blocking our Pathfinder, which is fine. So we had a really good battle in the last episode. I recommend it. And we're still continuing on the Prussian-Russian War. We're still holding our colonial territory and we're securing Central Europe. We might end up piecing out with the Russians once we hit sort of 40 regions. We'll just see how we go. It just depends. It can take logistically quite a long time to eliminate the sort of eastern tier Russian territory on the border with the Ural mountain ranges. Because sometimes it can take like 6 turns to take a province. So we'll take the crucial, the most valuable Western Russian territory, and then we'll see how we go. But Gerhard is a recently recruited general in the grand scheme of things. He was a young boy in the wars against Poland, Lithuania, Westphalia, Württemberg, and the Austrian states, and the Austrian War. But being the commander of the Southern Army Group is doing quite well. We have, what? I think I counted it was 15 armies in total across the Prussian Empire under the governance of Frederick Wilhelm II, nephew of Frederick the Great, son of the Soldier King. Okay, so we're actually fortunate enough here to have a little bit of high ground and protection with my artillery. So let's try and drag you out where we can. So we have 4 or so units towards the south, 3 in the center pushing for Moscow, and about 3 or 4 up towards St. Petersburg. Now the Russians deal... Why is this being such a pain? They still own Finland, so hopefully the Swedes can come help us out in this war. They haven't... My allies have been incredibly passive in this series. The French campaign, they actually helped out a lot more. But one exception, the British. The British have really helped us out navally in this series. Protestant brothers, hand in hand. They seem to be helping us out a lot, just naval-wise. Every time I declare war upon someone, they're Johnny on the spot. They always seem to have naval units either blockading, raiding, or pillaging and intercepting forces. Which is quite surprising that the British, from all the way in their isles, they've sent a naval fleet to St. Petersburg in the Baltic. So we're starting to pin down some of the Russian infantry. We have cavalry and artillery supremacy. Infantry, manpower-wise, we don't. And potentially even quality. We've got line infantry. Line infantry, especially when you've got a good commander. Artillery and a lot of cavalry. Line infantry's fine. It's a viable strategy. Especially these guys. There's only one grenadier unit. But some of them are 1 to 4 chevron. So the Russians trying to intercept us and take the Ukraine potentially, and even block the road to Moscow. We've intercepted them. It's a nice spring summer day. We're not fighting in the winter for once and for all. Do you think we were the Russians? The amount of times we fight in winter in this series. So we want to try and hit their blobs. Ah! So they're not technically Cossack cavalry. Okay. Just looking at them with their bows, I thought they were Cossacks, but they're actually Tartars, so they're further east, I guess. What's the difference between a Cossack and a Tartar? I don't know. Sounds like the start of a joke. A Cossack and a Tartar walk into a Hungarian bar. What happens? Bohemia gets attacked? I don't know. I don't know. What's the punchline for that? Okay, those cavalry are getting a little bit close. We might have to fall back. The 38th Regiment of Foot is engaging the Russian light horse here, and they're already wavering. Okay, let's get my my artillery to aim against their Tartar cavalry. Speaking of my cavalry, it can pull further to the right. They're starting to engage us here. They got one lot of artillery, so it's not doing anything too crazy just yet. I haven't needed to form square because obviously it does reduce fire by rank efficiency, but we are routing these guys here. They're fleeing massively further back. The Prussian artillery has been fantastic in this series. We've had some of the best. I need to have a chart somewhere of like the entire unit database for Empire Total War to talk specifically on factions, because everything changes from vanilla and also changed from late to early. So I'd love to know like equipment, morale. Yeah, there must be like a breakdown of all the stats and bonuses. It's clearer in like Rome 2, DEI and Warhammer, of course. But in Empire, not so much. I need to check a database for it, I think. So they're starting to charge in the center there. They're actually interlocking their cavalry quite well. So if there ever was a charge, we're probably going to get caught here. We're wavering a little bit here. Let's swing around here. So we are outnumbered. This is going to be a hell of a fight because we're actually outnumbered. But we had to intercept them here. We didn't want them to push to Kiev, the breadbasket that we have in winter here now. They're coming quite close. We're engaging quite well. My cavalry was trying to swing around and hit the artillery there, but we've actually engaged a cavalry unit. Try and swing around. It's this damn Russian forest we've gone into. Okay, so the front line is now buckled there, but they're more professional grenadier units are holding. Let's engage the 4th Regiment of Artillery, because at the moment we are ruling and dominating the battlefield because we had a decent amount of elevation. The 63rd Regiment is now holding. So these are relatively fresh recruits now that we have, what, 15-ish stacks. A 60th Regiment, between 50 to 60 is relatively new compared to the first couple of seconds, of course. So we're going to be hitting our long victory conditions. If not today, I'll be surprised if we hit it today, but we're going to come close. Maybe in the next episode. We need to declare war upon the French and the Swedish. But the thing is, declaring war upon the French is easier said than done. as they are in a tremendous economical, military and strategic position on the campaign throughout this Prussian campaign. They've done really, really well. Okay, so the Grenadiers are actually fighting us down here. They're using the thick shrubbery as a bit of a cloak, and they're actually green sort of attire equipped. So the 17th and the Grenadiers, I don't know if they're probably going to hold there. We're doing quite well on the left-hand side. We're surrounding the Russians pushing here. We've got the 23rd Regiment. So we're advancing, we're angling and picking off the angles. The 3rd Regiment of Russia is now retreating. What a hell of a morale loss for them. So speaking of the French, they reformed their government in a revolution. It is, after all, about 1783-ish. 1785, I don't know exactly what it is. That's when we started the campaign. Can't remember the date exactly, but we're starting in a late campaign, of course. My cavalry has neutralized the artillery, but they're actually engaging their own cavalry. We're still holding on the left, but Tartars are trying to swing around here. We're probably going to have to form square. Yeah, so the Tartars are coming in. Yeah, let's pull you up. We had those left-hand side cavalry there. We just need to get those shots off. The 73rd, the 17th, and the Grenadiers. The 3rd Grenadier unit there is what's really doing the damage against us. We're fortunate enough that we've got the high ground for artillery. We've had a couple of really good RNGs, so I can't recommend enough in Empire Darthmod with your artillery that has unlimited ammunition and essentially range. Try and get it to the highest elevation it can, so it's essentially shooting down on people. It doesn't have to arc its shot over the low shallow hill or infantry. So we're clawing it back to about a 50-50 now, because this battle was not guaranteed. Now, speaking of the French, like I said, they reformed their government to a republic. They have a French president. They've eliminated the Dutch and have taken their territory in Belgium and the Netherlands. But they kind of let their overseas territory go to us, which is quite funny. We saw an opportunity, a power vacuum, and we seized upon it. We were able to take Ceylon and territory in the Caribbean. And then from them we were able to springboard into German Texas and the Bay of Bengal, which we haven't really advanced upon yet because I've been dealing with this Russian war. War with the Mughals never broke out. Okay, as I thought it would. The Marathans and the British are still holding on. Okay, pull you further back. So we're still engaging them. Okay. So most of the guys that charge there on that center, it's basically wherever I direct my artillery, that's where they're holding. Man, oh man, look at the smoke there. Let's reform here and bring the Grenadiers further towards us. Look, you know what? I'm getting sick of this 3rd Grenadier Regiment. Gerhard! Fire everything you've got! Absolutely, yeah, get all the artillery. Yeah, there we go. Fire everything. Unload absolutely everything at the 3rd Grenadier Russian Infantry. Let's blow them back to the Urals? I don't know. Let's blow them back to Siberia. And we are just unleashing everything. So now what's it at? I'm curious. Okay, so we're absolutely shelling it now. Surely they must be wavering. Yeah, they are. Oh, but as soon as we bring away that supporting artillery... Ah, they've gained ground on this side. Ah, I was just getting sick of that Grenadier unit. It definitely wasn't the play, but it definitely wavered it. Okay, so these guys are taking a battering here, which is fine. Okay, we're going to have to redeploy everything over here. Those Tartars, similar to the battle against the native Indians in Texas, against the Pueblo nations. Oh, damn. Pueblo. I don't know why I find that word so difficult to say. Anyway, as long as you know what I'm talking about, the guys that were occupying Texas, that now is under German Texas control for the Kaiser. for Frederick Wilhelm II. Right. Yeah, so now that we've got supporting artillery, now they're starting to waver. Fantastic for the fatherland! Oh, now they're swinging around. So most of my cavalry's in full retreat. That's fine. They got caught. And once again, our artillery is ruling the day and supreme. Okay, that's holding on there. Yeah. Before these series, I'm not opposed to world conquests, but it just sort of depends on feedback, suggestion, likes, and comments. Because, from my perspective, at the end of the day, I'm running a business. I'd rather just be honest with you guys. The first video of a series does tremendously well. You get more views, comments, and likes in the first episode of a series than from episode 2 to the end after. Typically. If I'd say overall on the channel, that would be it. So, people lose interest, people move on, people only watch a couple episodes here and there, which is completely understandable. I come back and forth from YouTubers all the time. But the YouTube algorithm these days doesn't reward Let's Players like they used to. If you watch time and stuff, even animators get a real bad time as well. So I've got to be sort of ruthless in that department. I've got to be... I basically got to stretch it to the bare minimum, because usually by about basically episode 5, things just drop off by a cliff. So I try to pack as much in as I can within those couple of weeks. I can usually actually finish up a campaign by about that time anyway, which works out well. Okay. So, speaking of campaigns, let me know what you'd like me to replace it with. I would like to do more Empire Darthmod on the channel, because last year I did the Russian series, and that was about it. I really enjoyed it, but the French campaign did really well this year. The Prussian series has done tremendously well, so thank you very much for all support on that. But I would like to do more. This is 3 that I've got on the table. Let me know. And maybe even just like tier them in the comments if you like that. Spain, let me know. The United Provinces, or the Ottomans. Rank that. I think that's probably where I'm going trajectory-wise. And we've won. We have victory here today. Let's try and run down the remaining Russians. There is a minor factions mod, but I think that mod's not very stable, which can be a pain for recording. But there might be a cool, unique faction that we can play as. Louisiana might be something wacky and weird. Maybe we should play as Württemberg. I go on about them all the damn time. I just love Württemberg. Maybe it's too similar to the Prussian series just yet. But this also goes for all content on the channel. Strategy games, Total War. If I've Let's Played it before, let me know in the comments. Because, for example, a lot of you guys wanted to see this Prussian campaign. And I was like, yeah, I like the sound of that, I agree. However, if there was an over majority of people going, hey, I want a Spanish campaign, I would have been like, hey, that's a good idea. like it could have been very well interchangeable. And I don't know why, but the Russians are stuck between a tree and a log in a hard place. What is going on here? We'll send in my generals to try and cavalry try and run it. That is... that just sums up the Empire, Total War, pathfinding, just getting stuck on undeployable stuff. Oh, that's hilarious. Come on, men. Run them down. So, we did most of the hard yards conquering Russia in the last episode, but now this was the main army holding us out in Moscow. So now we should be able to march upon the ancient city, the Third Rome, if you ask a Muscovan, I guess. But we're going to be marching into the Winter Palace with King Frederick Wilhelm II and putting... Well, it's not Peter the Great, is it? It's Catherine, I think. We'll round up the Tsar's family, or Tsaress, or Empress, or whatever her name is. Tsarist? What's female for Russian princess? King? I don't know. Heiress something? Close victory, though. The greatest enemy of a good plan is the dream of a perfect plan. Karl von Clausewitz, Prussian general, a military theorist. The greatest enemy of a good plan is the dream of a perfect plan. Yeah, well, you try your best, but not everything does go to plan. You have to sort of, especially with Total War, you have a bit of an idea where you want to go and stuff, but you have to adapt and go on the fly. So, Yegor deployed 5.4, we had 3.6, so we were actually outnumbered quite significantly by 2,000, so if we weren't prepared or we got caught by more Tartars in certain areas, it would have been bad. So, we're going to be able to swing this army around to Kiev now. And now that we've intercepted that army, we should be able to still march on Kiev with Muscovy with impunity now after protecting Kiev. So let's move that army up here, and we'll continue to go for Muscovy. We still want to try and take the Crimea there as well. I've also pushed over to Norway. We're going to be able to take the Danes that occupy that, because the Swedes kicked them out of Copenhagen. But yeah, let's end the turn and continue. Okay guys, welcome to the top of the turn. So, we still occupy St. Petersburg, and the Russian Navy is nearby. The Swedes have managed to take Petro there, while Finland is still very much under Russian control. So, we're going to swing around the garrison from St. Petersburg. We're going to try and kick out the Russian Navy. You can do that when you occupy ports. And this should allow the Great British Fleet to go in and sink them. We actually haven't had any problems sort of raiding our ports, which is good. That slop tactic really works out well. So we've got 3 armies here now ready to march upon the Winter Palace. So let's push onto Moscow now. Sebastian Voss is going to march in. We'll demand surrender, because I am merciful, and we'll send 3 more divisions up here, and that should be enough victory. So we've taken Moscow now. Well, it's loading in. It took a little bit. Man, oh man, it only took 7 nation armies to take Moscow. It took, I'm assuming, I just like the song, but Dong, 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 dong. I reckon it's probably 7 nations, so we'll try and count it off, I guess. Austria, Poland, you could say Italy, probably Württemberg, Bavaria. Oh, yeah, so you could, yeah, we've definitely conquered more than 7 people if you just go by 1 German state, but major powers-wise, not so much. Okay, guys, welcome to the top of the turn. We can push down to the Crimea now. The Great British Fleet is on the outskirts. Like I said, they've been tremendous. Like, the AI has been so on top of it, helping us out. I can imagine, like, what would be real life if the British fleet was there. The Prussians storming the Crimea, and then sort of like if you guys have played Total War Shogun 2, oh, I can't remember what it's called. Fall of the Samurai. Yeah, where you can have artillery pieces rain fire and death and active on the battlefield. We'll push into Norway as well. They're not going to surrender. So we've knocked out the Danes, taking Norway under our control, which is crazy, to be perfectly honest. Okay, sweet. So, now with the control of Moscow, the Russians only have Finland. They have Arki to the north. So, would they sue for peace? Would they accept? And they have. Peace with the Prussians and the Russians has ended for now, because we're actually quite close to our victory conditions, and the further we push eastward, it's going to drain our logistics and supply. So we're going to have to replenish and repair where we can. We'll try and get trade with Spain, with Isabella. And do the Danes want peace? Where even are the Danes? Yeah, they're in Iceland, aren't they? Christian, why does he look like he's got cross eyes? I don't know why. So, on that note, guys, it's time to end the video here. Thank you very much for watching episode 7 of the Prussian campaign. In the next episode, we have the regions now, 40 or so, but We just need to take the territories on our victory conditions, Strasbourg and Copenhagen. But the Russians have been massively subdued here. They've been pushed back to essentially the Caucasus there. They've been pushed back to Kazan and a couple of others. We've taken most of the key territory of Russia. We could continue on, pushing eastward, just grabbing a couple more if we need to, but maybe even puppeting Russia and like levying troops, because Russia has some of the best sort of stat-wise winter units and morale in the game, so that could be a legitimate strategy as well.
Unfortunately, guys, it is time to end the video here. Thank you very much for watching. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. Let me know in the comment section down below your feedback for the series, and if you would like to see more, that's the best way to ensure more content. Leave a dislike if you're not enjoying the series. Check out my social media links if you want to stay connected with me. Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, all in the description below. Patreon and merchandise link in the description below, along with the Steam group. Come and join the community on Steam. And on that note, unfortunately, I have to end the video here. Thank you very much for watching once again. Make sure to take care of yourselves. Go out and have a fantastic rest of your day. My name has been Simpzy. Goodbye.